Here we are again. It's the moment we've all been waiting for this year. The Kansas City Chiefs going for the three-peat and in the Super Bowl. How do you feel, Lex?
I feel terrible. I think we were all pushing for Detroit to be in the Super Bowl from the NFC side. Like, wasn't a lot of people that was picking against them unless you just fans of another team. You know what I mean? That fans of another good NFC team. But they got shook up by Washington, man, and let a rookie quarterback do his thing, and that was it. One and done. Even after a bye week, you was already given a win because you didn't have to play first week. Then here you go. Jaden Daniels came into Detroit and he made it do what he do. So, yeah.
Well, before we dive into all that, you're absolutely correct. A couple weeks ago, obviously, Detroit gets beat by Washington. Washington goes to the NFC Championship game as a surprise, and of course gets knocked off by the Philadelphia Eagle, thus setting up the opportunity in this year's Super Bowl 59, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. But before we dive in, I always, of course, want to make sure our listeners know, please like and subscribe. This is the Heartland Huddle podcast, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Heartland Football, NFL Debates and Insights. You can also search at Heartland NFL Talk. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. Let Xavier and I know what we can do better and what kind of content and conversation you'd like to have. So with that, Kansas City Chiefs going for the three-peat, Xavier. And if you remember, I just want to remind you of a couple of things because I know sometimes through the hubbub of the entire season, we forget really who was right and who was wrong. And you know me, I love to keep score. So, where Eric was wrong. Eric was wrong in the fact that they didn't go undefeated, the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. They technically really only lost one game, at least the starter. So I'm going to call it 15-1. We can throw out that Week 18 loss where we played our third stringers against Denver and in Kansas City there. So really a 15-1. I missed it by about one game. No problem there. But I did predict that they'd win the third Super Bowl three-peat and make history, which they have a chance to do so this coming Sunday. So with that, I wanted to just real quick recap kind of the AFC Championship game, kind of things that you saw, things that went well, and just kind of wanted to ask you too, excuse me, Xavier, is what stood out to you? What sort of surprised you about that AFC Championship game on the Bills side of things, on the Chiefs side of things? What stood out to you?
Nothing really stood out. I think, Bills was there for the taking, but nothing really stood out. It's Magic Mahomes. I'm gonna call him Magic Mahomes because I mean, he is who he is. He's elite. He's a winner. Andy Reid, elite winner. You know what I'm saying? Nothing really stood out to me as far as the AFC game. I was rooting for the Chiefs to win, so we watched it together. I mean, I was just still in the moment, heartbreaking about the Lions, but yeah, nothing really stood out to me. Other than that, it seems like he and Travis Kelce kind of losing their touch a little bit. It seems like, I could be wrong, but it just seems like, although they did have a touchdown pass in that game, but it still just feel like they haven't been in sync with each other like, how we normally see them in previous years. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that's what stood out to me.
Sure, sure. Okay. So a little lackadaisical in the quarterback to tight end connection there. I hear you. Um,
Yeah.
for me, honestly, well, I want to remind you too, Xavier, because the week prior, we had our little tiff over that. You said the Bills were the biggest threat to Kansas City in the AFC. You thought that the Bills could knock them off. I understand that you were, rooting for Kansas City. You had an interest there, but, nothing else standing out in terms of, did you think the Bills were going to put up a bit more of a fight? What'd you think of that last sequence when Spags sends the blitz off the edge, the corner blitz, and Josh Allen throws it up and Kincaid can't come down with it? What'd you see there?
Uh, I mean, you got to be able to know what to do in those moments. You have to know that it's coming. You have to know, you, you got to know what's coming. I mean, and this is only Dalton Kincaid, what, second year? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So he's still learning the game. He's still, probably haven't been in a lot of moments like that in his career. But I think that when you get to spots like that, positions like that, plays like that, you got to know what to do. You got to know where to be. Receiver and quarterback have to be in sync with each other in those type of moments. You have to practice those type of moments. And they blew it. They couldn't get that. They couldn't get it off with that blitz coming. What were your
Yeah, I
thoughts on it?
yeah, I agree with you. And it's a point that's been made well known this week, but I agree with it. Is the fact that you have to have a backup plan, in my opinion. And I mean, you know that. You have to understand what you're going to do if something isn't working. Or if you put on tape one play all year in a certain situation, if it's 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 2nd and short, whatever it is, obviously every team has their bread and butters that they like to go to, plays that they like to run, guaranteed 3, 4, 5 yard quick hitters that they know they can pick it up, just dependent on the down and distance. However, when you've put 20 hours of tape on film all year for a team like Kansas City and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo to sort of study, and then now that exact situation arises in the game, in the biggest game of the season, the AFC Championship game, we know what you're going to go to. And so now I can roll you out one way, Josh Allen. We know you like to roll to your right. And that's exactly where I'm going to send that corner from is I guess it would be the left side of the defense, but his right side. Right. And I can send that blitz there because of the film study. And it's coaching just like for the quarterback sneak that they ran multiple times on 3rd and 4th downs in that AFC championship game. It's Josh Allen. He's verbally said it. He's come out and said it in public and said, I like to run it behind the left guard. Well, if you've said that, and that's
Yeah.
what you've shown for 18 straight games, you'd think against the defending back-to-back, two-time defending Super Bowl champions, that you might try to switch it up, that they might go, oh, it's 4th and 1, probably a Josh Allen sneak behind the left guard. I'm going to line up Chris Jones. I'm going to line up Tashawn Wharton. I'm going to line up Mike Dana, Karlaftis, whomever. And, and different things like that. And so I just thought that they became a bit predictable. And against a great Kansas City coach defense and a great Kansas City coach team, I just thought that Kansas City knew exactly what Buffalo was going to go to in certain down and distances.
Well,
And,
see,
and,
but
and it helped.
that's on the offensive
Uh-huh.
coordinator too, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knew that. The offensive coordinator, you're on the sideline. You have some pressure on you, but not as much as the quarterback being in the field to play. You should have knew that. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to
Yeah.
come with your best call. That was the good thing about Ben Johnson on those 4th and 1s or 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 14s and 15s. He knew what call to make, and he knew
Yeah.
exactly where the ball was going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was on the offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? So he's supposed to have that mindset. That's where you become elite as a play caller in those type of moments. So, and he didn't
Yeah.
do that. You got to have your quarterbacks back. You got to know exactly what it is to do in that moment. And they didn't do it. Just throwing a jump ball up, hoping your guy come down with it. That's with the blitz in your face. That's not how it's going to get done. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's where it gets tough because when you're going up a superior coach team, Andy Reid's already tough enough. Steve Spagnuolo is already tough enough to go up against, and like I said, you have to have that backup plan. So great coaching there by the Chiefs. That's championship DNA, as we all know. That's just a championship culture. That hey, we're gonna film study, we're gonna grind some tape more than you, and we're gonna find some tendencies, and we're gonna exploit those in the biggest moments. And kudos to the
yeah.
Chiefs; they've been doing it for a very very long time. And so it kind of lends me or transitions into my next question, Xavier. Let me ask you: do you think the Chiefs were underrated this entire season? Just based off of not the record because they went 15-1, but based off of how they won those close games, I think it's up to 17 straight one-score games the Chiefs have won dating back to last year. Were they underrated? Were you surprised? Talk about that.
No, I don't think they were underrated because they pretty much ranked, top three team all season long, so they wasn't underrated at all.
Yeah,
Um, and the Chiefs has became they are that team that they're expected to win every last one of them. You know what I'm saying? And if they lose, you have to look at every flaw in that game, like, oh, how did they lose? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But no, the Chiefs are that team just where they are expected to win. It's like I can only imagine how much money has been paid off in sports bets from the
yeah.
Chiefs. So, yeah, they I don't think they're underrated at all, or was underrated at all during the regular season.
What about disrespected?
Yeah, that's what comes with winning. That's what comes with being on top. That's what anything you do, even in the regular workforce. If you make it 2, 3 levels up, and the next person who was trying didn't, what do you think's going to happen? There's going to be there's going to be hate there. It's just natural. That's a natural thing, for human beings. You know what I'm saying? That's in anything that you do. If you're moving up and somebody's trying to move up too, and then you keep going and they can't get there, automatic hate there. You know what I mean? So that comes with the territory of steady moving forward and winning. That's just what it comes with. I think that in this day and age, I think people should know that's just a normal thing to happen, but you still have to talk about it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's a normal thing.
yeah.
You hate it or
I
love it.
agree. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think they were underrated because of last year. I asked the question because I think we get confused with underrated. And I think there's just an annoyance with the Chiefs right now, obviously, with so much winning over the last 6 or 7 years since Patrick Mahomes became the starter, that it's one of those things to where it's just, they're annoying, right? We saw it with the Alabama dynasty under Nick Saban years ago. We saw it a bit with Dabo Sweeney and Clemson. We saw it way back in the early 2000s with Pete Carroll and the
Let me
USC.
stop
And
you.
sure,
Let me stop you. You said it's annoying. What makes it annoying?
because there's nothing to blame, right? I had a whole monologue series. Speaking of that, subscribe to our podcast at Heartland NFL Talk. You can check out my monologue series every week where I dive into sort of some cultural narratives and some tongue-in-cheek type of humor around the Chiefs. But I did my last monologue. Whistle Wars was all about the conspiracy with the Kansas City Chiefs and getting all the calls from the refs and things like that. And I stated in my monologue, I said, it can't just be that your team is just inferior. Now, I think people understand when their team is inferior or not as good for maybe 1 or 2 years, but 7 or 8 in a row, I think that's when the annoyance comes in, right? Now it's because the Patriots dynasty was Deflategate, Spygate. Everybody thought of them as cheaters. So it's, yeah, they're good, but they're also beating our team because they're cheaters as well. And as a fan, I can accept that, right? It's my scapegoat. With the Chiefs, there's none of that. There's no scandal. Obviously, the data has been proven that the Chiefs don't get more calls or favorable calls than their opponents. And so there's just this annoyance with the Chiefs. They're likable. Travis Kelsey's with Taylor Swift. Patrick Mahomes is the good old boy next door. You'd want him to date your daughter, right? Like, there's no villain. There's no Death Star, Star Wars type of thing with the Chiefs. It's just they're just good. They're just better than your
But
team,
like I
and
said
I
though,
think that's where the annoyance. Good.
but like I said though, that's what winning comes with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just does. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Especially if it's not your team. That's what it comes with. You When you're consistent in it and it's just steady happening, people just getting slapped in the face with Super Bowls and AFC championships and winning their divisions and all of that type of stuff. Patrick Mahomes just being great. He's never hurt, not missing the game, all these different aspects of
Yeah.
the Chiefs team or Chiefs kingdom, whatever you call it, it's going to come with negativity 100%. It's like opening up a business. You can't open up a business and just think all positives. You have to take the negative side of business into consideration. That's
Yeah.
just how it goes. That's life.
Yeah.
That's in every single thing that we do. So, with them being at this elite status, cannot make it there without half of uh, when you got where you're just going to get 100% love. It's going to be 50-50. It's going to be love and hate that comes with that. It just comes with the territory. That's how life goes in this world. So
Yeah.
that's in every country, every nationality, everybody, it comes with everything and everything. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it goes, man. You're gonna get that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it has to be talked about though. You have to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about it. You have to, you know what I'm saying? So, but, and they're gonna be the ones that's sitting there holding the trophy again. And guess what? All week next week, it's gonna be full of hate. It's gonna be a little bit of love, but it's gonna be full of hate. We know that
Yeah.
already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's expected. It's just about being mentally prepared to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. What's the famous quote? Die a hero or live long enough to become the villain, right?
mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things to where, yeah, when I mean, heck, I would even say the Patriots dynasty in the early 2000s. The Patriots dynasty was sort of cute, right? They were an upstart. We like origin stories. We like upstart things. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we've seen your journey. Now it's time for you guys to somebody else, right? We want to see someone. We root for the underdog naturally as people, and we want to see you guys fall. And when it's a sustained success over 7 or 8 years, 5 Super Bowls in 6 years, probably about to win his fourth, it becomes annoying, right? And now you're getting into territory to where you have other quarterbacks, you have other teams that have great teams, but they just can't break through. Lamar should have a Super Bowl by now. Josh Allen should probably have a Super Bowl by now. Joe Burrow was able to get to one at least, but lost that one. Those guys, that those big four quarterbacks, I should say big three. Mahomes is in a stratosphere of himself, but Lamar, Allen, and Burrow, one of them should have a quarterback. And combined, Burrow's the only one to eat. I think combined in the playoffs, they're 1-8 against Mahomes and the Chiefs. And so, it's that LeBron effect too. LeBron going to 8 straight finals, 9 straight finals, whatever it was, 10 or whatever it is. And yeah, I know he didn't win every finals, but the fatigue of like the Toronto Raptors had a nice little 3 run there. The Celtics had a nice little team there. The Indiana Pacers, LeBron just flat out ruined a couple of teams' chances, even though they had a strong nucleus. He was inevitable long enough for their nucleus to dissolve. They had to tear it down and they had to start over because this man Braun is still
All
beating
those
us
teams.
in the Eastern Conference Finals. He did it for 10 straight years. So, anywho, no, it's just one of those things. It's interesting and it's fun as a Chiefs fan, of course, as a native Kansan, to remember the dark days, some of the dark days of the '90s, some of the early 2000s, to remember the 2-14 seasons, and then get rewarded and blessed with this sustained success. So, no, that was kind of the reasoning behind the question, but it's just interesting. So, moving on. I want to get to the Super Bowl though, because obviously I'm a happy man. They're here. Now, it is against a very, very good Philadelphia Eagles team. And I want to ask you, do you think this year's version of the Philadelphia Eagles is better or worse or the same as the Philadelphia Eagles that played the Chiefs in the 22 Super Bowl?
uh, I want to say they're very, very close. The only difference is Saquon Barkley. Um, I mean, I think they had Fletcher Cox back then, but he was toward the end of his career. Now they got Jalen Carter. You know what I mean? I think it's very, very close. I say they're about even. They're about even. It's just about, can they put it together? Can the defense put it together to not stop the Chiefs but slow them down to
Yeah.
where the Eagles can continuously move forward and put up points. Um, Gonna be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, I think they're about even. I think they're about even.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think, of course, with the Eagles, this year's version is better. Obviously, defensively, they statistically had the number one ranked defense this year. I think with the two rookies, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, the two corners that they picked up in the draft, that's drastically better than James Bradbury and some of the guys they had in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So I think defensively, and then yeah, like you said, you had Miles Sanders 2 years ago versus Saquon Barkley. We know what he just did: 2,000 plus rushing yards. Had an opportunity to break Dickerson's record, single season rushing record. He seemingly breaks off a 60, 70-yard run every week. That offensive line's probably the first or second best offensive line in the NFL. So the Chiefs definitely have their hands cut out for them. I think it's a better version. However, the Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs against the number one ranked defense and passing defense, he is 3-0 with a 132 passer rating and averages 37 points. So he's played number one ranked passing defenses, and he's absolutely carved them up, averaging 37 points and a 132 passer rating. So
Yeah.
am I worried? No, but with Vic Fangio coach defense, we have our work cut out for us. And so that leads me to my next question, Xavier. Who has the advantage? The Philadelphia defense? Excuse me. I actually wanted to flip it. The Philadelphia offense or the Kansas City Chiefs defense? Who do you like in that matchup?
Who has? I mean, if Jalen Hurts is passing the ball, if he's using Devontae Smith, if he's using who's it, Dallas Goedert and AJ Brown, if he's passing the ball on top of the run game, I would give the Philadelphia offense the advantage. But all season long, he hasn't given his offense that balance of run and pass. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Will he change it for the Super Bowl? I would hope so. You know what I mean? But are they going to do it? It's only one way to find out. But if they were to use both run and pass, I'll say Eagles have the advantage.
Wow.
Eagles offense has the advantage.
Eagles offense has the advantage against the Chiefs defense. On paper, yes.
That,
In the game, no. And here's why I say
yeah,
that. Because on paper, yes, when you look at Philadelphia's skill position players, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley, they're Jalen Hurts obviously is no slouch at quarterback, but that's the thing. He is the weak link technically on their offense. If I had to choose somebody, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm saying I who has to beat me on the Philadelphia offense? I'm not saying Saquon. He's the first guy I want to take out. I'm not saying A.J.
mm-hmm.
Brown and Devonta Smith. Those are the second two guys I'm trying to lock down. It is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts
Yeah,
beat me, you know? And so for that reason, I do think that on paper, Philadelphia, because of the skill position guys, they have the advantage. However, in the game, I think the Chiefs defense does a lot of things that aren't seen. I think we have the best tackling defense. I think our corners and safeties, when they get their hands on you, you go down. They limit a lot of yards after the catch, which is very helpful when they come up to run support against Saquon Barkley and things like that. On the flip side of that, too, the Chiefs' run defense doesn't get as much credit as I think they deserve. The Chiefs have one of the very best run defense, a top 7 run defense this year in the NFL. And so I think when it's a concentrated game plan, I think we're going to be able. Nobody's going to slow down Saquon. Let's get that very clear. He is like Braun. He's like Jordan. He's like Pat Mahomes. He's going to get his. He's too good. You're not going to shut him out. But if you look at it, and one stat I found interesting this year, against bad teams that did not make the playoffs, Saquon Barkley averaged 152 yards rushing, which is insane. Against teams in the playoffs, above 500 teams, he averaged 92. That's a stark drop off. I mean, that's a 60-yard drop off right there. right?
Yeah.
And so if you're asking me if Saquon, and nobody's ever really run the ball efficiently against the Chiefs in the playoffs since they've had Spags. So if you're asking me if Saquon's going to go off for 160 and 2 tutties against the Chiefs, no. I see about 87 yards and maybe a touchdown, right? And for
Hmm.
that gives me hope. That gives me, you know, confidence there, thinking that, the Chiefs are going to be able to slow them down reasonably, of course. So,
Yeah.
well, and let me ask you this. I wanted to kind of get into more legacy talk because, we can run through all the stats and we can go through everything, but I wanted to ask you because we all know what history is hopefully about to be made. 3 straight Super Bowl. Nobody's in the Super Bowl era has ever done that since 1967, the merger. And I just wanted to ask if Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, does Patrick Mahomes become the GOAT with the three-peat?
Um, I think in reality he will, but I think he would have been the GOAT if he would have beat Tom Brady in that Chiefs Buccaneers Super Bowl. But
It would be six to
will he
four
become?
on Super Bowls, right? Because
It,
Tom would have one less. Pat would have had one more, so it'd be 6 to 4 in Super Bowls too. So right now it's seven to
yeah,
three. If Pat would have won, it would have been 6 to 4. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, but I think he'll get more. He's not even 30 years old yet, is he?
No,
Is he
29.
30 yet?
No.
See, so yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. This will make him the GOAT. Yep.
Yeah, he three-peats,
Man,
gets
that's
the.
gotta crush Tom Brady.
He didn't even really get in time to enjoy being the GOAT post career for 40 or 50 years or till
Yeah,
the day
because
he died, right? Yeah.
yeah, and he's seen Patrick Mahomes coming along. He's seen him, since his rookie year until now. So he pays attention. You know what I'm saying? So I know he like, dang, I wonder if in his mind does he think like, dang, he's gonna be the
Yeah.
GOAT. I'm not gonna be the GOAT. He's gonna be the all time best quarterback to ever play the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if he
Yeah.
thinks that. You know?
Interesting question. Let me ask you this because Tom did leave the so Tom won 3 before Gronk, which but Tom in those 3 Super Bowls was largely a game manager. We all know it was Belichick's defense and Teddy Bruschi and all that.
Mm,
Obviously,
yeah.
the next 3 Super Bowls he had Rob Gronkowski with him. Actually, the next 4, the rest of the 4 he had Gronk in Tampa Bay as well. And so I wanted to ask you that too because forget Tyreek Hill. We traded him away, and Pat Mahomes is about to win 3 straight Super Bowls without Tyreek. Pat's had a rotating left tackle seemingly almost his entire career. He's had a rotation of running backs seemingly almost his entire career. But I wanted to ask because he always has had Travis Kelce, who I think the large majority of people believe and consider the GOAT tight end. Does Pat Mahomes have to win a Super Bowl without Travis Kelce to really solidify his singular success? Right? Like
Mm,
this. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I would say no, because that's what the game is about. The quarterback is not going to be the only star on the offense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The defensive tackle is not going to be the only star on the defense. Um, it changes every year. Some players are able to stay together for a long time. Like
Yeah.
St. Brown and Goff will be together. At least we know for the next 5 years. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it doesn't. Yeah, no, I don't think that should be a factor in it because you're not gonna be the only star of the team. You know what I'm saying? Uh, yeah, yeah, no, I don't. That doesn't make any sense because in a ma- uh, a great team like how the Chiefs are, they got a lot of stars. You know what I'm saying? It's just those are the names that stand out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, Patrick Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? And Isaiah Pacheco's become a star over the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? Kareem Hunt, he was a star, then he kind of lost it, but he kind of gained it back. You know what I'm saying? With Andy Reid accepting him back to the Chiefs. You got, Trent McDuffie. What's
Yeah.
the linebacker's name?
Bolton.
Nick Bolton, George Kalafdis. You know what I'm saying? You got other stars. All of those stars combined is what creates the continuous winning, the dynasty. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense because you can't be the only star on the team. That's
Yeah.
impossible. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, no, I just, for that narrative that's out there that, obviously Patrick Mahomes came into quite possibly the best situation for a rookie or second year quarterback has ever really come into, minus Caleb Williams. So that's another debate for another time. But, for him to come into Andy Reid, the Chiefs had already won 2 straight division titles under Alex Smith. Alex Smith clearly mentored him that first year. Obviously coming in with the Tyreek Hill, with the Travis Kelce, and things like that, the narrative's out there. Well, Pat's not this system quarterback. We all know that's not true. But this man, he's been in such a terrific situation his entire career that it's
that's how it goes.
I know, and I agree with you. I agree. It's just to kind
That's
of
how it
debunk that
goes.
narrative out there. Yeah, and I think
Yeah, I debunk it because it's based off of general manager and head coach. They the one put the teams together. He
mhm,
didn't put the team together. He may have a say so, hey, you like so and so. He's not putting the team together. You know what I
yeah,
mean? That's what every team wants. Every team wants a master GM and a master coach. All 32 teams want that. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? If they don't already have it. Everybody wants. That's what it takes to win. That's how the Lions been winning. They got a master GM. I don't call Dan Campbell a master coach, but he's a great coach. That's just what it takes to win. You got to put
yeah,
the team together. So
yeah,
you can't. Yeah, I debunk all of that, man. Those narratives shouldn't even exist because you just have to go deeper into it and look at the from an organizational standpoint, who's running it, who's putting it together. That's why they're there because the general manager has an eye for talent. He's been a scout his whole life. All general managers, for all you people who don't know, majority of them were scouts their entire adulthood. You know what I'm saying? That's how they even got to the general manager position because they've been doing it for a long time. A lot of people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Not all
yeah,
of them. Some of them are ex NFL players and stuff like that. And people give them the chance to have the eye for talent, or they can convince somebody that they have the eye for talent. But most general managers were NFL scouts and college scouts. That's how they got to where they are. And that's how teams get put together. For everybody that don't know that, that's how teams get put together. That's how drafts are put together. That's how the list of players gets put together on who would go at this point, who would go at that point. So you don't put that off on, oh, because if he wouldn't have Travis, maybe not. No, no, no. It's not his fault Travis was there. You know what I'm saying? It's not his fault he got drafted to that team. It's not, it's no player's fault as to why I mean, it's their fault that they're winning because they just played a game, but it's not their fault that they don't pick their teammates. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like buying a new house. You can pick the house you want, but you don't get to pick the neighbors that live next door. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
yeah, I
Unless
debunk
you
all of
hop
that.
on,
So
unless you hop on those lists that show the little red dots in the neighborhood. But
yeah,
yeah,
you
no,
ain't lying. A lot of people don't know about that. Yeah,
yeah. So anyway,
yeah,
you got to be from rural Kansas to know some stuff about that. But no,
yeah.
no. So anyway, no. It's just it's one of those things that's constantly out there, and we see it with other quarterbacks too, right? We see it with other, we see it with other sports and athletes and other sports. But no, it's always an interesting discussion. But one thing I wanted to do, and we haven't done in a while, one of our listeners' favorite segments, End Zone Insights, brought to you by absolutely nobody. Our End Zone Insights segment is, of course, where we kind of go around the NFL. This is called Heartland Huddle Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. You can subscribe to us, of course. We would love if you subscribed. Check out our content and videos. We're doing some fun stuff this summer that I'm really, really excited about. Some surprises and content there for you guys on our channels. You guys can subscribe, search for us at Heartland NFL Talk, and of course, our actual YouTube channel, Heartland Football, NFL Debates and Insights. So, with that End Zone Insight segment, really the one thing that I wanted to discuss, Myles Garrett comes out, of course, and says that he requested trade from the Cleveland ownership. He said that he obviously wants a chance to win. He's north of 30 years old, doesn't have that much time left, and clearly Cleveland's not the place to do it. And so he has formally requested a trade. Now, X, the question I pose to you, and the one, of course, your Detroit Nation wants to know, should or could, or you already know where I'm going, should Detroit go out and make a move to get Myles Garrett? And if they should, what sort of package do you like?
I think they should, but me studying Brad Holmes the last 4 years, I don't think he is. I just don't think it'll ever be in his forte to bring in a big name player that he didn't draft, that he didn't create himself. So could he? Yeah, he can. Is he thinking about it? Probably so. I know he was thinking about it in the middle of the season when he didn't have a choice, but will he? I just don't see him doing it.
But he would instantly, Xavier, he would instantly create probably the best pass rushing duo between Garrett and Hutchinson, maybe in NFL history.
Yeah, now I'm going to tell you something about him. He knows that. He knows that 100%. Yeah. It's just about, is that what he wants to do? Have we heard any inkling about him wanting to bring Myles Garrett in? Nope, not even close. Have I heard anything about him wanting to bring Cooper Rush in? Yep, he was trying to bring Cooper Rush in like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But LA just wasn't ready yet. Like, we would, but we wouldn't have another number one. So now that he's at the end of the road in LA, now it's possible. That's what he'll do. He'll take somebody that's toward the end of their career, like a Zadarius Smith. You know what I'm saying? Why do that when you can have somebody in the heart of their career and really make an impact? So he hasn't done it. He doesn't have a habit of doing it. So I don't see it happening at all. But if I had to take a guess of where he might go, might be Washington. He might go to DC. That's what I think. That's where I think he's going.
So,
and they got the cap space, they got the draft capital, they got everything to give up to get him, and that'll help Cleveland go through their rebuild, because they're about to go through a rebuild. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
they've got to go draft another quarterback, but that's another story. So, and I agree with you. It could be Washington, obviously a surprise upstart team, missing the playoffs, straight to the NFC Championship on the back of their rookie stud quarterback, Jane Daniels. We both really enjoyed watching him play this year. But when I think of GMing, Xavier, I think of three aspects. I think of, number one, to be a good GM, you have to draft really well, which Brad Holmes, check. One of the very best behind Veach and Roseman. I think when the second aspect of a GM is you, of course, have to retain said players. You got to pay the guys that you've drafted and developed, right? It gives your fan base hope. It sends a letter to said player, say, hey, we love you, we appreciate you, we want you to be here long term. The third aspect of being a great GM is that free agency piece. And this is where for years and years and years, Detroit has acted and made moves like a mediocre team, thus having a mediocre existence and record in the NFL. And that's not a dig. I'm not trying to jump into a screaming battle here, but it is just what it is. There's a reason why Detroit's never appeared in a Super Bowl. There's a reason why they haven't won a championship since the late 50s. There's a reason why for a lot of years, you guys up in Detroit have been fed up with the ownership, with the team, with everything. And now that you're on the precipice of winning a Super Bowl, 2 years ago, you of course make it to an NFC championship game. This year, of course, you guys go to that divisional round and have an unfortunate outcome. But now it's that next step. You're not going to be drafting high anytime soon because you do have a great team, culture, coaching, players. You've done that. You've drafted and you developed. You're not going to draft anywhere probably south of pick 27, maybe 25, 26, 27. And I think if you're able to go, you saw the devastating injuries on the defensive side of the ball this year for Detroit. That's really what did them in the end. We all know that. And so if you can go get another guy and another depth piece and a durable piece and a first ballot Hall of Famer for, I would say, probably 2 firsts and a third, maybe there's a player sent back to Cleveland in that as well. But if you've got two low first round draft picks and a third next year, I think you got to make it happen, Brad Holmes, because this is the same type of inadequacy in free agency that's doomed the Lions for their 80+ year existence. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying you got to sell the farm. You know me, Brett Veach does the best job of it. Brett Veach came out and said, hey, just because we're going for a three-peat, yes, we want to make history, but we want to compete for a championship every year. I'd rather have a chance to win it next year and the next year and the next. So we're not going to sell out the farm, but you got to be on that line of aggressiveness as well. You bring in DeAndre Hopkins, you bring in a Juju, you bring it back a Kareem Hunt. If I'm Brad Holmes, you don't have to mortgage your future, but damn it, Brad Holmes, go and get Myles Garrett. Because even if you had essentially another Aiden Hutchinson, let's say Hutch gets hurt like he did, you still got Myles Garrett on the other side. You know what I mean? You're not just down a number 1 pass rushing guy. You've still got Myles Garrett there to wreak havoc. So I think they've got to go do it, and go do it before a Washington or even a Green Bay in your own division goes and makes that move.
Yeah, Green Bay they figure out ways to make moves. Chicago figure out ways to make moves. Even Minnesota probably figure out a way to make a move. But and you got the fan base sitting back like, damn, Brad, why couldn't you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got some cap space. You got some players that you can let go. You know what I'm saying? Why can't you do that? And, but like I say, so far in the 4 years he's been there, going on number 5, he hasn't done anything like that. You know what I'm saying? And it lets us know, the fan base, that, hey, I might not ever go and get some big name person and pay him 20, 30, whatever million and give up a first round here, first round. He's like, he might not ever do that. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just how I see it. And I only say that because that's what he's given us. Our team is specifically built through the draft with a trade from, here and there or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But they don't be those names where you like, man, that's it right there. He don't give you that. He's not going to give you that. You just have to look at who he drafts and watch them blossom into these stars, like a Jamison Williams or a St. Brown and a Jahmyr Gibbs, and you know what I'm saying, all of these, Penei Sewell, which most of the names he's drafted has been on offense. He hasn't drafted anybody on defense except for Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we get. We get who he picks in the draft, and we watch them blossom into, NFL stars. So that's been his, that's how he does it. That's what he's been doing. That's what we see. So I don't see him doing the whole superstar trade in free agency. I just don't, I don't see him doing that, because he hasn't given it to us, not once. We got DJ Reader, but we barely heard DJ Reader's name all season. I thought he was going to come in and be a force on the side of Elaine McNeil, but he hasn't been.
Well, and that's the exact point. And that's the exact point that I was making is, you went and got DJ Reader and we barely heard his name. And if those are the guys that you constantly go after in free agency, Brad Holmes, you're going to constantly be losing in the divisional round, or maybe you do go to some more NFC Championship games. But it's the
He
same,
knows that.
and that's what the frustrating part. Like I said, you don't have to give up. For example, I don't think the Lions Super Bowl window is closed. You and I might disagree on that. We've talked about it outside of this podcast, but I don't think everybody's paid, everybody's still young, and you had a lot of injuries this year, especially on the defensive side. So I don't think that Super Bowl window's closed. And so in having said that, if you've got another 3 years to win a Super Bowl, quote unquote, then should you mortgage your future for 1 year? No. But I don't think two low first round picks, or low as in drafting on the back half of the first round, I don't think two low first round picks in a third sets you back, especially when you do have a Brian Branch, a Jack Campbell. You do still have a Jameson Williams and guys on rookie deals to augment that depth in that team. You have some guys on
Yeah.
defense you can bring back on some 1 year deals. Another Carlton Davis, Amik Robertson. There's guys there to supplement that, giving up those two first round picks. So, and you're getting an all world first ballot Hall of Fame defensive end and D tackle of Myles Garrett. So for me, Brad Holmes, you want to take the next steps and ensure that the Lions at least get to a Super Bowl. That's the move. The move you have to make. Yeah.
He knows that. And
So,
I don't even think you have to give up 2 firsts. Just give up 1. And a 6, a 5th, or something to help Cleveland build depth on their team. So, and like I say, he knows that. And you can pay Myles Garrett. You know what I'm saying? So it don't have to be a 4 or 5 year deal. That's probably what he's going to want. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that factors in too. What does Myles Garrett want with going to another team? Do I just want 2 years to get a shot? Nah, he's probably going to want at least 4 minimum.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 at the max. So it's a lot of things to take into consideration as far as being a general manager. But like I say, he haven't given that to us. And will he one day? I don't know. I mean, he said he would. But like he always said, it has to be the right fit. They have to have the grit. And that's fine. But
so that's fine. But watch other teams win Super Bowls and you don't.
Yeah. So, exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay. Well, that wraps up our End Zone Insight segment. One of the fun things, like I said, we do like to still go around the NFL. This week, it just so happened to still fall back on the Lions, but we like the NFL talk as well. So, to wrap things up, X, obviously would be remiss if we didn't get some Super Bowl predictions. I don't know if it's obvious who I'm picking in the Super Bowl, but still would like to score. So, who's your Super Bowl pick? Why? And score.
I'm going to go Eagles by a field goal.
Off today, huh, Xavier? Eagles by a field goal? You've been drinking all day.
Nope. Coffee. Too much caffeine. And the caffeine told me Eagles by 3.
I just want to talk to our listeners and our subscribers right now. If you've been with us since the first part of September, you knew my prediction. Undefeated, 3-peat, GOAT, all of it. And I don't know if I've not done a good job of educating Xavier, my co-host, one of my best friends, on this point.
I don't need your education.
But here we are, 3-peat, 15-1 record, and what happens? He picks the Eagles by 3. You know what? I asked the question. You're right. I'll let you have it. Eagles by a field goal. Huh?
Well, now tell me yours.
Okay. I believe this, like the stat I mentioned, I believe Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes is going to have a big game. And the reason why. I think great players and GOAT-like legend-type players show up in the biggest moments all the time. And Patrick Mahomes is no exception to that. He has done it throughout his career. He clearly gets bored with the regular season. And moments like these are the only ones that get him up anymore, right? And with the legacy on the line, he can surpass Tom in the GOAT debate. He gets to do something that nobody else has ever done in the history of the NFL. He's going up against a very, very great defense, a defense that he's torched routinely in his playoff career. I think Patrick Mahomes comes out laser focused. Tutty, 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 sling, sling, sling. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs win 34-24. 10-point ball game, Kansas City Chiefs. Book it, mark it, take it to the bank. ESPN Bet, DraftKings, FanDuel, Prize Picks, Underdog Bets, whatever all the betting websites are, take it. 34-24, Kansas City Chiefs in the Crescent City, New Orleans, Louisiana. History, 1, 2, 3. You want it in German? Eins, zwei, drei. Spanish, uno, dos, tres. Whatever language you want it in, we got it. 3 back-to-back-to-back Super Bowl champions. History's made, and we are all witnesses to it. That's my prediction. That's my pick.
Bro, you're an idiot, man.
Well, with that, we wrap up another episode of Heartland Huddle, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. Check us every week. We know the NFL season is ending this Sunday, but continue to check us out. We will have content throughout the summer, staying relevant, staying up to date for you guys, and obviously some fun stuff that I alluded to earlier. So please like and subscribe our podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the little bell button. You can search us at our YouTube channel, Heartland Football, NFL Debates and Insights, or you can search us at Heartland NFL Talk. With that, we're out.
Go.